Hello everybody, Crazy Up Girl slash Kawaii Kitties here. Still having an identity crisis. Um, Today I am talking about Futari wa Precure. So my speed paint is obviously Futari wa Precure. And yeah, I just said what we were talking about. So Futari wa Precure is actually the first season of Precure to ever come out, and it is very important because it is the first season that ever came out. The seasons have been improving. Quality wise, they've improved compared to like the first season. So I would say that original Futari wa or either Max Heart, which is the next one I'm doing, are like possibly the worst seasons of Pretty Cure, and that's not a bad thing. It's because they're the oldest, so they've managed to improve, So let me just get off this long intro. So the first character I'm gonna talk about is Cure Black, or Nagisa. So Nagisa, I guess, yeah, she is our protagonist, like our main protagonist. Just by the way they frame it in the show, it's pretty obvious. But she's a sporty girl who is terrible at school, which kind of starts this whole archetype thing in Pretty Cure, but not to the degree where it is today. So yeah, she's a very talkative, ambitious, lazy girl, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, she ends up meeting Meppo. Yeah, I think that's his name. The fairy partner, her fairy partner, which is a bone which hits her on the head, in her bedroom, in the first episode, which is once again her fairy. He is very, he he can be annoying, but also, supports her, I guess. I think I can't really remember too much about him because I don't really care about him, but yeah. And our second protagonist is Honoka, and she is a very scientific, smart girl. She is also very nice. She's not lazy at all. She's also ambitious. And is an extremely hard worker. So Nagisa and Honoka are essentially opposites. She ends up meeting her fairy, Meepo. I can't remember where. Maybe it was like on her porch or something, or out in public. I actually cannot remember. It's been 2 years since I've seen the first episode, or 3. Yeah. Meepo is actually the calm fairy out of all the fairies in this show. She is not annoying at all. She's pretty nice to be around, and yeah, so basically Nagisa got the annoying fairy, Honoka got the nice fairy. Their friendship is pretty interesting, because two very unlikely people end up becoming best friends, and yeah, I like them together. And I actually don't have a favorite in this season, because they are so inseparable, that I can't choose. They're just together. You can't separate them. They're unbreakable. And the action in this season is amazing. There's multiple times where just the fighting is great. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about why it is the worst Precure season, and of course I said it wasn't a bad thing because it was the first season. So a lot of the villains and stuff back then, they weren't interesting and they didn't have good designs. The most interesting villain we got was Kiria-kun, which was the sister of this other villain who wore this red outfit and had white hair and attacked with her hair or whatever. I could really care less about her. I care more about Kiria-kun. So he was a villain at first until he got to know Honoka and Nagisa, mainly Honoka because he likes her and she likes him, until stuff goes down and he sort of dies for a while. And then at the end he ends up coming back to help the two girls, and yeah, Honoka gets reunited with him until he leaves and we never see him again. The end of the original Futari was, I can't really remember too much about it. I think it's interesting from what I can remember. Yeah. A lot of the villains are interesting. Now they do have the marble screw. This purify animal or alive thing power. And their power from the third fairy of the season, which I forgot to mention. Let me think of his name right now. I don't even know how I forgot Poloon's name, who's like the third fairy, and the main fairy in the drawing who's in the middle. The greed thing that opens. Poloon is actually a baby. He is a brat. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, so I feel pretty bad for Meepo, whatever, the guy fairy, because like he gets constantly irritated by Poloon. Yeah. Poloon gives the girls another power up, which every time something happens, he's like, "Oh no, Nagisa Honaka." Ah! That's how that's all he does. The power-ups really, like the powers in this season, because there's only like 3, it starts getting like really, really bad, repetitive. Like it's really hard to watch. With how repetitive things get. There are also like a lot of filler episodes. I mean, there's always a lot of filler episodes in Precure, with a bunch of filler episodes I could care less about. Yeah, those are like more of the bad qualities about Futari wa Precure. Everything else, I just remember the queen. So the queen is Poloon's mom, who is a very human, don't know, bad looking, terrible, god awful 3D model, which really comes important to the next season of Precure. She's a queen. She's a baddie. She beats up people. She's great at her job. Yeah, I really like her somewhat. So now I'm gonna move on to something else. I think Futari wa Precure is decent. The animation is pretty decent for its time, for the time it came out in. And yeah, let's move on to something else. So by the time you see this, another episode of Delicious Party Precure would have been out, or would be out, or it would be a few days that we got Cure Yum Yum. So her debut episode was okay. She is very energetic. She gives me Hinata or Cure Sparkle vibes. Like a lot of them. Like they're 2 very similar characters. Delicious Party has so many resemblance to Healing Good. Really, for real. But yeah, I thought her debut episode was okay. Her attack looks okay. I'm not crazy about the attacks in this season at all, unless they pull something awesome, but they haven't done that in like a few years. So anyways, yeah, the episode was okay. I actually don't really have that much to say about it, so I'm gonna have to figure out something else to talk about. Okay, so the next thing I'm actually going to talk about is H20 and Mako Mermaids. So like way back in probably the end of January, and yeah, in February. Facts, no cap. Oh no cap. I just capped on you. My bad. January. I started watching H20 and Mako Mermaids again, and I kind of just want to talk about it because I meant to talk about it a while ago. But I did it. So now I'm gonna talk about it. So H20 has the premise of 3 girls, Cleo, Ricky, and what was her name? And Emma. And later on Bella, which like she replaces Emma, which I'm not into. So, yeah, they end up becoming mermaids or whatever. And it's really interesting to watch, because their interactions and stuff, I don't know, like, they just, connect with one another and stuff, like friends do. I think, another character, who is super important, Lewis, he is their scientific friend who, ends up finding out they're mermaids by Cleo, and ends up, like, scientifically researching things, which ends up leading to, like, end conflicts and stuff with this lady who wants to, like, sell them out and make money off of them. And then, like, connections through the second season with this girl named Charlotte who has mermaid ancestry, who ends up becoming a mermaid herself and gets all the powers of them. And it's really interesting. He's very important. The one thing I don't like that they do with him is that they make Cleo and Lewis girlfriend and boyfriend because they're childhood friends. I don't know. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I really think they should have just stayed best friends because, I don't know. I just preferred their friendship over anything. One thing I will say, another thing I will say about Lewis is that the characters kind of treated him terribly, which I felt bad for him a lot of times because, like, they just treated him poorly. Sometimes later on they didn't treat him as badly or whatever, but, like, still they treated him pretty poorly. Now I'm gonna move on to the other not that important people. So we have our, I think, 3, let me count. 1, actually I changed my mind. So, I am going to talk about another really important character in the show. So she, her name is Louise Chatham. Yeah. So, she basically was one of the older mermaids, like I talked about a few minutes ago or whatever. And she ends up kind of like, sending mysterious messages to, like, Cleo, and tells her about mermaid powers and stuff. And then later, whenever she gets, like, integral into, like, the first season, I think she gets removed in the second season actually, which is kind of disappointing, but, like, yeah, she kind of helps out and, like, teach, like, kind of tells them stuff, tells the girls stuff, and it's interesting. Now I'm going to talk about what I was going to talk about a minute ago. So, in H20, there are, like, a lot of love interests, and they're not good. Like, I just don't, I don't, like, there's this one guy who's a jerk from the start of the series. Let me look at his name, because I literally have, never mind. But, there is, I pulled up the wiki thing. I don't know his name. I forgot, but he's a jerk. He, ends up liking Ricky after all the terrible stuff he's done. And Ricky likes him, and it's really bad. Like, I hate, like, he was a jerk from the start. Like, Ricky should have broken up with him. Like, I mean, she did for a while, but then she got together, and, like, I don't know, it's just a mess. I don't like their relationship. They just should have, like, not, because that's not really in Ricky's character. Ricky really should have stayed single. Also, Emma had, like, 2 other romantic interests. One disappeared, and we never saw again. The other got control. Got deleted, because she left the season. And I don't like either of the romantic interests. I'm gonna be honest, I could care less about all of the romantic interests in this show. They're all bad. I really dislike them. I'd rather not. Yeah. Then we're gonna move into I think season 3 territory. So like I said, Emma gets removed and we get a new girl, Bella. Bella is not interesting because Emma was a very calm, mature, smart, intelligent person, but like I feel like Bella's just like boring. She's nice and she can sing. Like those are like her only character traits. Like I guess I only stated a few little character traits from Emma, but Emma has like more sides to her. Bella just feels like a quick replacement they had to do because obviously season 3 of H20 was not planned. So yeah, she also gets another guy who's gonna end up being her boyfriend, who ends up replacing Louis because Louis goes away for a while until the end of season 3. I'm pretty sure his name is Will. Let me double check. I'm 90% sure his name is Will. I'm going to assume it's Will. So he is also not that interesting. I know a lot of people apparently don't like him. I can't really remember too much about him because I don't care about him. I'm pretty sure he was pushy a few times. I don't really like that. He replaces Louis, like I just said, for a while. And Emma's gone. But Cleo ends up kind of taking Louis's place when it comes to being mature and smart and intelligent. And Ricky, because of her horrible boyfriend, kind of loses her spunky personality sometimes. It's a little sad. But, yeah, season 3 was not planned, as I can tell. I don't hate Bella, but I'm gonna be completely honest, like, it was obviously not planned. They should have just left it as season 2, and it all would have been okay. Yeah, I think H20 was a fun watch. I was kind of sad when I was done with it, even though there were some episodes that I just had to like push through and I never want to watch again. There are still pretty decent episodes that I would watch again and that were fun. Okay, now I'm going to talk about Mako Mermaids. Mako Mermaids was a sequel of H20. And yeah, but this time I would say it's kind of an alternate universe, but it's not, because Ricky ends up showing at the end, which is a whole nother thing. That's a mess, but yeah, the first season is really good. We have our 3 main characters again, but they're different people. Let me look that up. You can probably hear typing and stuff and things going off on my phone, but you know what, that's okay. I'm doing what I want, however I want. So, our main characters are Lila, Nixie, and where is she? Serena. Yeah. So they just came out of, like, you know, the water, spying. Serena's the not mischievous one. Or no, my bad. Nixie's the mischievous one. Serena's kind of just there for the fun. And Lila is the mature one who's like, no, stop it. So because they end up like going out to land, end up like turning another important character, which we get our first male merman or mermaid, Zach, ends up turning into a merman due to not stuff that wasn't their fault. And they end up getting kicked out of their pod, which is basically a whole community of mermaids that they live with, which is introduced in this series, because this time instead of just 3 mermaids, it's just, or I guess a 9 or something like that, how many ever they had in H20. It's actually a colony of mermaids. So they leave because they're in danger or whatever, and a lot of things happen. So Zach ends up like finding this out. The 3 girls end up pretending, you know, that like they try so many methods, especially Lila, to take away his merman powers or whatever. His best friend, Zach's best friend ends up like, you know, learning too, and it's like, whoa. And they meet this lady, Rita, and she takes them in after the conflict and stuff, school, all kinds of crazy school shenanigans going on. And yeah, so the three girls end up becoming friends with Zach or whatever. And yeah, and try many ways to like, you know, get his powers until he finds out and is like, oh my god, you guys didn't tell me. He gets upset. So then this kind of ends up turning into a downturn for Zach, where he starts going crazy and gets upset. And then his friend ends up like, you know, wanting to take advantage of this after a while. So yeah, after Zach does some things and like, you know, tries to ignore the bad warning signs that can happen from the three girls because they were being a mess. He ends up realizing that, you know what, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt the girls, and I just don't want to harm people. So then he ends up, you know, like getting on their side, and then his best friend, Cam, his best friend Cam, you know, ends up trying to, you know, get his way and tries to become like, he becomes like a villain and like, ends up causing a lot of conflict. And the end of season 1 is really good because Lila and Zach are like super best friends. It's amazing, and their friendship is amazing. But then season 2 comes, which I feel like season 2, once again, like extra seasons, it was a mistake. Like honestly, I really hope we're not putting that from the start because it's just so bad. Like I don't even want to. So 2 new mermaids end up replacing Lila and Nixie, and Lila's especially important. I guess you could get rid of Nixie if you really wanted to, but Lila is super duper important to the plot. So it's just a misfortune to see the 2 girls leave. Serena's still there, and we get introduced to Mimi and Aldina. So Mimi's okay, she's a curious person. They make sure to make that her whole character, that she's a curious person, and can never make us forget that she is a curious person because they mentioned it all the time. So Aldina is a nuisance in my opinion. She's just annoying and rude. I don't like her that much. Yeah. And also in the second season, we get another male mermaid named Eric. He does not replace Zach, by the way. Zach is irreplaceable in this show. Like he's like the only character who doesn't get replaced. So Eric ends up wanting to get the train after a while, getting to know them. Aldina likes Eric, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, Mimi also gets a love interest because sure. Anyways, it turns out that Mimi is Zach's Zach's sister in some roundabout way, and somehow turns out that Zach has been a merman his whole life, and that he's just had this thing where I don't know, like it's just like a whole entire situation, and I'm not a fan of it. Like they really should have just left season 2 alone. I don't mind Eric because he's a bad person, but like I don't like this idea, and Eric ends up getting kicked out in the end anyways. So now we're gonna move on to season 3. You may think there's like a season 4, but there isn't. It's just season 3, and Netflix did a weird splitting thing again. So yeah, so we get so Serena gets removed from the show, so we have no connection to like the first season at all, other than Zach, because he's super integral to the show. But so is Serena, but like, you know, they keep Zach in. So we get Mimi, Aldina, and a new character named Wei Lan, who is she's a pretty nice person. Yeah. So basically this whole third season is essentially about finding out how Mimi and Zach have, like, their mom turned into this water dragon from China that, you know, Wei Lan saw. And I don't know, why has it gotten to this point? Like, why does the mom have to be a dragon? And then they end up defeating it with Ricky, which candidly makes no sense within the show's rules for Ricky to really be there. It's odd to say the least. I'm not crazy about it. Yeah, the rest of the show, like the first season of Mako Mermaids is good. It's just the second and third seasons is where, like, it is not it. Like, they should not exist in their own rights at all. So if I had to pick over H20 and Mako Mermaids, I would definitely pick Mako Mermaids season 1, because I don't, like, it just had more plot relevance and got really interesting, especially with Zach and, like, the 3 girls, especially Lila. Yeah, it got, like, you know, really interesting, and the way other, like, factors interacted, like the people from Earth. I mean, not people, they're all from Earth. The people from land and the people, like the mermaids and stuff, and like all the conflicts between them just really made the first season interesting, and all the chaos that came from the 3 girls being mermaids into humans, which I know that H20 did the opposite, where obviously it shows human girls becoming mermaids and there's still a lot of chaos, but then, like, it's just really, really funny when you see the opposite, because it's just ridiculous. Like, they could not walk and they were just doing a lot of just embarrassing things that would embarrass other characters. It was funny. So, yeah, Mako Mermaids season 1 is definitely above H20. Seasons 1 and season 2. I'm not really good going to season 3 because, like, yeah, so there are definitely seasons of each show that I just would, like, I could actually care less about, and that I just really wouldn't want to count for the show, but I have to. But, like, yeah, I would say it's a fun series to watch. If there was a filler list, I would definitely use it, or just like a list for episodes not to watch, I would definitely use it. I don't think there is one, but yeah, I like the shows. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've gotten this far, this is probably my longest video, and I love long videos because, like, you know, you could listen to them for like a very long time. Yeah, I really hope you enjoyed. Bye, see you next time.